I decided to start my own garden last month, so I bought a small basil plant from Costco and put it in my backyard. I treated that plant like my own child. I told it bedtime stories, gave it plenty of milk to drink, and even put a hat on top of it to protect it from the sun. But it died. My friend told me that it was because plants need sunlight to live. I scoffed at him and pointed to Genesis 1, where plants were created after the sun. He told me that I shouldn't look to a myth for scientific advice and that the Bible got it wrong. My question today: is the creation account in Genesis 1 scientific or a myth? Well, if we are going to take both the Bible and science seriously, we are going to have to start by interpreting both well. So when we interpret the creation account in Genesis, we need to understand that the author uses language that appears to employ both prose and poetry, and contains both literal and symbolic elements. It should also be noted that the Bible makes no claim to be a scientific textbook, nor should the Bible, which is an ancient book, be expected to use modern scientific terminology. However, the Bible proclaims itself to be trustworthy, so if the Bible is to be taken seriously, it must have a reasonably accurate account of our beginnings. So what does the Bible say? Well, it starts off by saying, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth." This seems to claim that the universe had a precise beginning. Science seems to overwhelmingly support this fact, as we have shown in our other videos. This might not seem like a big deal, but a lot of cultures back in biblical times believed in a circular model of time, or that the universe was eternal. In fact, it's only been since the 1920s, just in the last 100 years, that the scientific community has come to agree that the universe had a beginning. But I know what you're saying. Lucky guess. But even if stating the universe had a beginning was a lucky guess by the author of Genesis, the sequence of events that follow seem to line up with our current modern understanding of science as well. Take the account in Genesis 1:2, where a description of the early earth is given as formless, void, dark, covered in water. This is in agreement with scientific models of early Earth that theorize that Earth had a thick, dark atmosphere that was once completely covered in water. The Bible then claims that land started to form and produce plants followed by living creatures. This too agrees with our modern understanding of how the Earth evolved. A popular objection to the Genesis account of creation comes in Genesis 1:16, where we read that God created the sun and the moon on the fourth day, well after life had been established on Earth. If this claim was accepted on its face, then the Bible would have a problem here. If, however, we scrutinize this account just a bit, this claim can actually bolster the credibility of the Genesis account of creation. Let's put it like this. Have you ever seen a football game where it looks like someone scored a touchdown, but when the referees review the play from a different camera angle, it is clear that it wasn't a touchdown? The truth looks different depending on which camera or perspective we view the play from, and the Bible actually establishes the angle or perspective from which the creation story is being told when it says that the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. God's perspective wasn't above the earth looking down, but rather on the earth looking up. Today we believe that when Earth was first formed, it was enveloped in thick clouds that kept the planet dark and sunlight out. When the clouds departed, one viewing these events from the perspective of Earth would notice the sun and moon for the first time. Likewise, when the Bible says that God made the sun and the moon in Genesis 1:16, this could be a metaphor for God clearing the atmosphere enough so that one could actually see the shapes of the sun and the moon. The Earth was dark from that perspective, even if the sun was created in the beginning along with the Earth. Finally, the Bible says that man was the last of God's creation. This too lines up nicely with scientific theory if we use the definition of human that the author of Genesis would have used when he wrote it. In other words, someone who has the capacity for art, worship, and self-realization. This kind of human probably originated in a small group in northern Africa, near Mesopotamia, around 100,000 years ago, much like the story of Adam and Eve. So, at the very least, the accounts in Genesis 1 seem to line up with our understanding of origins today much more than the most popular understandings 3,500 years ago when it was first recorded. What do you think? Check out Reasons to Believe at reasons.org for more info. See you next time!